Good morning, everybody. Quick sound check. Can you hear me and can you see me? Uh, Everything looks good on my end, but I just want to be sure because I set up in a slightly different place. Hey, good morning, everybody. Let's see. Hola, Daryl. How are you today? In Cold War, are you guys still getting snow up north? And hey, Lee, how's it going? Oh, Daryl again. Madge had literally waking up. No, go get a coffee. So normally I'll go on at 9:30, 10 o'clock. Vision was kind enough to text me saying his schedule was screwed up. He was starting later. And then my dogs are used to waking up at 5:30 or 5:15 when I go to the gym. So they were running up and down. I had a potato stampede because they were fighting and barking and they were ready to go pee. So once I got up, I was like, well, hell, I'm up now. So let me make some coffee. Any of you who own a dog who's on a routine will know exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, Hunter, good morning. Zero snow here. Gracias, Mad Shad. So I hope everyone's doing well, guys. This is kind of an informal Saturday sit rep. There's so many things going on that hey, off the wall, we can't see you. What? You can't see my Latin charm? Come on now. Yeah. Hey, good morning, Rapture. So yeah, I was like I said, everyone, I was scheduled to go on at 9:30. 9:30, 10 is usually my time. And Vision was good enough to text me. He was like, hey, my schedule's screwed up. I'm starting late. But then our dogs woke me up at 5:15 to go outside anyway, because that's my normal wake up time is 5 o'clock. So they were ready to go. They were running up and down the house. One was barking in his crate. They created such a commotion. Then the cat outside started howling, and I was all right. I'm up. I'm up. I'm just getting everyone out. Go. American Refugee, the stupidest movie ever made. You know what, Jay? Hey, good morning, Jay. And good morning, Tracy. I have 160 pounds. Oh God. Well, we have coyotes here, and they will jump a fence. And believe it or not, the corgi's got little legs and all. They're bred to not be afraid of bigger things. So, which is, part of their herding instinct. But I've had people get their corgis hurt because a coyote jumps in the yard and they will run like a group in a line at that coyote to run it out of the herd. And inevitably, the coyote gets hurt, the corgis get hurt. This friend also has Belgians, so he lets those guys go, and then the coyote dies. But then, you've got this mess of injured animals. So I figure it's easier that I go out with them. I'm stupid. I woke up to a dog licking my face. That hey, good morning. We're going to touch on that because there's some interesting. I mean, by now we've all seen. So I think among the folks who message each other, it was either Jason, the angry prepper, or Hudson Valley shot me a text yesterday or night before last. I don't remember saying it was a Silicon Valley bank. The first one was having issues, and they were bank run and see. Yep, it makes you wonder. So what's interesting is so they sent me a text saying, hey, look, this bank is not doing well. And we were chit-chatting about it. And then the next morning, I think it was Angry Prepper sends a message to a few of us. And he's like, oh, there it goes. And it down went SVB. And shortly thereafter, Wells Fargo reported that they had no wake up with oh no. Yeah, no. I'd rather the front end of the dog than the back end toward my face in the morning, that's for sure. You the Wells Fargo reported that a bunch of their direct deposits failed. Like people just did not get paid. and they're working on the problem. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know about a crypto bank. This is insane. So like Roku, and this is where companies screw up, right? Because a lot of this is relationship based. Let me see if I can present. Bear with me just a second. The window of, well, hell's bells. A tab. There we go. This guy. Let me know if you can see that puppy. So Roku is that streaming service, and yeah, if you never like the direct stuff, yeah. So companies like Roku, they had 26% of their cash reserves. Now I'll tell you right now, the directive from my company and a lot of companies that I deal with was last year. They said we're going to go to a free cash flow environment. So just to explain that, basically, when you hear companies are getting leverage, it means they're in debt. They're taking out loans to make an investment that they think will not only be profitable enough to pay off the loan, but make them money too. So they're basically using someone else's money for the project. Um, but if there's risk in the market, then the lenders don't want to lend, and so you can't find that money to expand. Hey, Loretta, thanks for joining me this morning. Hello, Carol. Oops. Hello, hello, Jeep Girl. So ultimately, what a lot of companies did after the Rona was they went to a free cash flow environment. Think of like a blue chip stock, like an industrial, right? You want to be steady, make a steady profit, don't get greedy, follow all the compliance laws of the environmental and social governance, etc. But be compliant, but stay in free cash flow. So if you have an incident, if you have a problem, you have that cash reserve. And I thought that's a smart way to do business in this kind of environment. And that's basically an inflationary hedge. And when I heard these accounting and finance people in my sector saying this 18 months ago, I was like, they're looking at something or things, and they're thinking to themselves, oh wow, I don't know. That's a good question. Now, Roku's a streaming service. Do they have their hand in crypto too? My wife, no. Croatia's pretty. I actually have a lot of friends from that country that I met working for an Austrian company, which is funny. And God, their coffee. They basically make a coffee smoothie. The grounds are in the coffee. I don't know how the hell they make it. You drink that, you're up till 5 in the morning. God, you ever get a bad hangover? You drink the Zagreb coffee, is what they called it, and yeah, you're not going to bed for a while. Um, Gone. It's yeah, it's pretty crazy. Mouse decided it's not working today, but in any case, a lot of these companies have been moving that way. So Amazon split its stock last year, right? So it was about 1,500, 2,000 a share, and then it split. I think it was 20 to 1 or something. So basically, each share was like $100. And I didn't want to buy Amazon one share at, so much money, but at $100 a piece, you can kind of jump in little bits at a time, and it still lost money. So Amazon's gone down, but they split the stock knowing. So these are keywords to listen to. Moving to free cash flow, um, reducing or eliminating their leverage. That means getting out of debt, and doing stock splits or buybacks. That means they're expecting something in the market to happen, and they're trying to put themselves in a cash position. I honestly have no idea how they made it. I was that stuff. I could taste color that morning. It was a bit too much coffee. And did I not say, "Hey, Caroline, I didn't see you there. Hello, hello. I'm cashless. Nothing will stop it." No. Mm, that's interesting because they're already talking about bird flu and other stuff. It's been strange. I have to look at, you know what? I wonder if he still has the same email. Um, God, he was a big dude too. He had some crazy name like Zoran or something. He must have been, God, 6'6", but he wasn't like a big fat guy or a real tall skinny guy. He was a tank. Like we were playing volleyball and he was on my team and ran I ran sideways going for a ball and he just flattened me. Okay, and I'm not a little guy, but he flattened me. I flattened myself on him because I hit him and I went, and he goes, "Oi!" And he rubs his ribs. And in the meantime, like my head is ringing. I'm like, "Good Lord!" I'll watch what company is again. Forful says that because second use well, Cold War. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lee. But this is exactly what happened pre-depression, if I remember. Let me see if I have the Social Security Administration has just put out an article about the Great Depression. That's creepy. Who wants to see that Social Security Administration article? Because that's kind of concerning. Yeah, nothing tells you it's all good like the feds telling you, oh, look, this is what happened the last time we made the apocalypse. Let's see, hold on. Oh, loss loss of confidence caused anxious depositors to create runs on bank to withdraw their money. Um, yeah. And you know what's funny? There was 4 days from payday. I ain't got no money. See, and I'll be honest with you, Shad. There are people who are making, professionals I know who are paycheck to paycheck because, they made the mistake of trying to buy the new house or get the new car when the interest rates took off. I know other people they got lied to with they didn't get lied to, but they got misled or didn't understand the adjustable rate mortgages, right? I'll always pay a little bit extra up front so that I know for the next 20 years of my mortgage, this is my interest rate. Hey, Yardbirds. Rob Cheatham and Lowe. That how? That's God, was that the Three Stooges who said that? I'm dating myself, right? Yes. See, and Cold War is bringing up very good points. So a lot of people look at World War One, then there was a depression, World War Two. So granted, we didn't have a World War already, but you had the Spanish flu. That was a pandemic. It screwed up the markets. Then for a while, everything normalized, and you had the roaring 20s, right? The stock market took off. Then it over leveraged. Then you had banks starting to fail, and they failed a few at a time. A few very rich people, wait for this, rich guys back then tried to prop up the stock market. They were not able to do it. So it went up and then it came down hard and then the banks failed. Then there was a run on cash. I honestly think, and guys, by all means, put your comments in there. The only reason we're not seeing bread lines is because they're able to hide the situation using the food stamp card, right? So even not 15 years ago, if you were on like food stamps or you needed assistance, you had to go to the store and you had the little book or the little stamp and they did that. But you had to physically show the little book or you had to go to a certain line. Now you get this little EBT card and you just swipe away like anyone else, unless someone recognizes the card. Um, they nobody know you were getting assistance. So I'm wondering if people actually had to go to a food line, we'd probably see massive lines right now. I know the food bank and the Christian group. Oh God, I forgot their name. Not the Emmaus. I can't remember who they are. Anyway, we have the big food bank out in West Texas, and then we have two other regional food banks. They kind of fill the gaps for the big food bank, right? Because the food bank, the big one we all know, and it's all over the country, has very specific rules. They can only help certain groups with certain criteria to keep their 501c the way they're organized. So these smaller groups organize uh, for those other folks that kind of fall between the cracks. What I was told is out here, this is not an urban area. This is a couple of small cities in the country. One group alone will get no less than 11 pallets of various types of food from HEB, Sam's, Walmart, and another company. Like they will donate it. And she said it won't last a month. It will be gone in weeks. And she said even with the donations people give, the clothing for the kids that outgrow, and whatever people donate personally from their pantries, she said we can't keep up. So it's tough. It's tough right now. Remember what happened? Channel I heard on. I'll tell you what, Tracy. These people all have their hands in something. But yeah, to back to Cold War's point, you've had the pandemic, Spanish flu. You're having the economic issues, i.e., the Great Depression. You have a lot of tension between countries. Back then, it was the US, Europe, Russia, Germany, and Japan. Now it's China poking at everyone around them. And again, Russia, return of the Russians. And then you have Germany and France now, ironically, getting in an alliance to argue with the other guy. There's a lot of precursors to something worse, which concerns me. So, all right, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm going to say that right now. What I wound up doing, I got hit because I screwed up how I did my things. And see, it's a catch-22. So what I did, I'm being taxed at the single rate, my wife and I. But when we file jointly. So basically, we overpay a little bit during the year, and then we get a little bit back at the end of the year. I'm in my, if I can be plus or minus from not owing anything, I'm happy, right? My relative of mine decided not to escrow their state taxes in their mortgage payment, right? Because normally you have your house payment, your interest, and then escrow, and escrow pays for house insurance, stuff like that. And they didn't do that. And what ultimately wound up happening at the end of the year, they had an adjustable rate mortgage. The rates have gone up, right? You see where this is going to go, right? Rates went up. Their base payment on the house increased. Oh, but then they forgot to save enough for taxes. And yeah, but if you have to pay bills in between, or there's a family emergency, then you either have enough money now and figure it out later, or be broke now and hope it works out later. Folks are just in a corner right now. I'm sorry, that sucks, man. That really, we did ours last night, and what a pain in the ass. So my dad was a Great Depression era kid. A lot of folks don't know that, but I'm a Gen X guy. If you use the common names for the generations, most guys in Gen X and girls in Gen X, their parents would have been considered boomers. My dad was born in 1930s, early 1930s. He lived through the Depression as a child, then World War II, then the Cold War. So God, I wish he was still around, because he'd be like 90 now. But the stuff, he told me, and I loved history, so we did have really good conversations when he was alive. But the stuff he told me, grass soup, he used to sell, the little mason jars we use for jelly? Well, he had beehives that he kept in the back of the farm. He remember his uncle had, like, what he said, I swear it was like a Model T Ford, and then a pickup truck that looked like the Model T. So I don't know if it was a pickup version. But he will sell those little jars of honey for 5 cents. And that's when the money was actually made of silver or had silver content. And that's how we made extra money for the family. He'd pick mangoes, he'd cut firewood and sell it. Um, and then, the other kid would go into his farm to steal wood. So he said he hit the other kid's donkey in the ass with a rotten apple, and the donkey ran away and dragged the kid, down the bayou. So he remembers that from his childhood. I'm like, okay, now I know where my kids get it. But he said, yeah, it was tough. Yeah, no, well, I'm glad you got what you need. But see, because you're thinking the way all of us are thinking, right, Chad? We're all thinking, shit, I gotta get the food, I gotta get, because I could get hit with taxes. You could get hit with the blown out tire, right? And there's a $200 right there. We don't know. So we can learn lessons from these companies, guys, because they're positioning. I've been watching them do it for the last 18 months. We've talked about it, but I'm watching. I mean, literally, I'm listening to these analysts. I get invited to these luncheons, and they're like, yeah, we're going to go to a cash heavy position. Everyone's saying the same thing. It's not just energy, oil and gas, solar, the line companies that do the power lines, manufacturing out here, they're all doing the same thing. Like they all saw it coming. They're like, we're not going to be able to get loans at a reasonable rate. Screw this. Let's position ourselves to have cash in the bank so we don't get caught flat. Or now, preps will do it too, right? So if you have enough food, that's cash in the bank. You don't have to go out to eat because you have something to make at home. This is what you prep for. So remember, investing in properly done preps, in my mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's the same as having extra cash in the bank, because you don't have to go out and spend at a higher cost because you bought that chicken last year or year before and you preserved it right. And now you're eating today on yesterday's uninflated pricing. And that's how everyone should be thinking right now. Hey, Joy. Oh, Jay, sorry. Rapture. No. I wonder what the gold and silver looks like today. Oh, see, that's right. I'm so broke I can't pay attention. Hey, SS. Welcome, by the way. Thanks for joining me this morning. So, see, this is tough. And again, I'm not a financial analyst, but my dad was a Great Depression era kid. He had me late in life, me and my brother. Um, but I grew up with not a lot. And I'm doing well now because I learned very painful lessons younger. And I made some mistakes along the way. Trust me. There were a couple of times we were like, we're paying the mortgage late because the kids got to eat. We've been there. So, and it's tough because, so doing the side hustles, that helps if you can find another thing to do on the side. But it'll be like that comedy show In Living Color where Jamie Foxx would pretend to be a Jamaican. Why you only have 5 jobs, man? You can only do so much, right? You got to be with your family, you got to raise kids, you got to sleep every now and then. That being the case, again, the prepping, having the food stored, having the batteries, buying things when you can on sale, couponing, all these little things, this little margins, right? So here's your income, here's your cost, wherever that may be. And every time you buy something at a discount, you reduce the cost of your house, right? Or for your household. If you can repurpose something, right? You didn't have to spend that extra $5. If you can fix the zipper instead of buying a new jacket, and you start adding those 10s, 20s, 5s, and it starts to add up. But yeah, it's tough, SS. I get you. And when that happens, that's going to be ugly. I don't know. I could see food lines once a week, usually at a church. Okay, seeing that the churches, I know my daughter said that there's a big like homeless, I guess like a soup kitchen. I don't know what to call it. I don't know if that's politically correct way to say it. They give out food. And she said, even during the Rona, the lines were pretty consistent. She said lately they've been getting much longer. And the demographic isn't like your typical homeless, either very elderly or like, just out on the street type. She said, I'm seeing young families, like kids with their moms and their dads. And she said the demographics changing. She couldn't put her finger on it, but she definitely noticed there were more people. And that's concerning. Get with the card in it, just like that. No, there won't be. Well, where's the money going to come? So, yeah. I've seen this movie before then. Yeah. Yeah, Rapture. There's, and Cold War's pointed it out very accurately. You're seeing those same patterns, the pandemics, you're seeing conflicts around the globe. You're seeing a lot of tension. You're seeing a little bit of tariff and embargo stuff going on. At the same time, you're watching banks having issues. Remember, certain banks failed in the smaller countries last year. And I said, those are the canaries in the cave because their economies are so small, they can't hide it. Whereas the US, Europe, Russia, China, we can hide it. We can go and say, we can hide this stuff. They can't. And I was afraid, give them 6 months. I said 6 months. That was a little too soon. It took about a year. Now we're starting to see it. That is. And a lot of them are concentrated in cities, which would be, this movie will be the one. But if you do, that's the best case is you've paid off your house. But if you do have a mortgage and you're legally under fixed interest and you've got some equity, don't take out an equity loan, right? Because let's say you have a house, you're paying your mortgage and you have some other debt, and the other debt you default on. At least in Texas, my house is my homestead. They can sue me for other stuff for the debt. They can't touch my home or my belongings because it's my homestead. Once you take out a home equity loan, and again, check with the lawyer. I'm not a lawyer either, but I've had to deal with this. You take out a home equity loan, the home is now your collateral. So now not only is your home collateral for the mortgage, your home equity, the money you've earned paying it down and its property value going up, is now the collateral for the other person. Once you take out those home equity line of mortgage, home mortgage equity loans, I said it backwards, you now put your house up on the block as collateral. And that's how a lot of people who otherwise shouldn't have lost their homes have lost them because they tried to pay for stuff. So just something to point out. That's not Jeep Girl specific scenario. I'm just getting as generic. She just reminded me when she posted that. Crash time. Yeah. Hey, good morning, Nostra. Gen X represent. See, so my dad was 34 and my mom was 1936. So, yeah. And so I was like when my dad retired, the year my brother graduated from high school, my dad retired. Like he had us way late in life, which was weird, but it was funny too. Basically, my dad was a Puerto Rican version of Red Foreman. But instead of saying, I'm going to put a foot in your ass all the time, he would be like, por pendejo, because we fucked something up. And he'd be like, you would just see that face. My brother would call that, the poppy face, because he would be in the sad pop face. Because he'd be like, he put his hand on his head, did the same gesture. He'd get that long in the face. And we'd be like, we should go to the playground, man, and go run 3 blocks away before he found me. Gen X, best generation. I just found out I'm Gen. Hey, Random, good morning. Well, we were a rambunctious generation too, because we had the video games and we had bikes and we had tools. But that was, but back then the video games, like if someone had an Atari and had 4 controllers, that was a party, right? So the video games weren't everyone isolate yourself. Back then, that was how you congregated, right? You get 8 or 9 idiots in someone's basement with the old TV with the stupid rabbit ears and the Atari, and like 4 kids at a time play. So it's like, okay, if Joey loses, then he goes next. And you have this whole order, and we'd sit there, eat pizza, and we'd cut up, you try and poke the kid while he was playing and make him lose so you could take his spot. Back then, it was like a reason to congregate. Now kids are playing on their phone. They're like this in the mall, sitting in the corner. I'm like, what are you doing? I just, I don't even know what to say. I'm not broke. I'm poor. A Viking in this area. Oh, Mad Chat, I found, by the way, on a side note, I'm having a squirrel moment. Uh, I found someone who makes legit medieval axes and maces, like not like, oh, this is for show, but if you actually used it, it would break. No. And it legit makes a mace, like the guys on horseback would have that whacker with the pokers on it. And they're like $200-300. Like it's handcrafted cedar or oak with adornments. I'll find the link, I'll send it to you, man. I saw that, I'm like, that's what I want for my next birthday. I want a medieval mace. Yeah. Yes. I keep my budget on an Excel sheet. It's not completely accurate because I don't have time to keep up with it. It's more a question of not having time as opposed to lack of technical skills. Because my wife's background's accounting, I'm an engineer. Like, we know Excel. We're just like, yeah, yeah, here's the bills. But yeah, I kind of know, okay, this is what I owe each month, and I can plan around that. A lot of people are winging it. Yeah, guys, even a notepad and a calculator, just get a picture. You remember that? Five jabs, man. God, that was so funny. God. Well, so Bucky's, which is that chain gas station slash mega mart here in Texas. There are like 12 of them in Texas, and they're moving to Louisiana and possibly Oklahoma. I don't know about Oklahoma. I know Louisiana's getting one. They're starting their floor workers at 16. The assistant manager is 90,000 salaried, and the general manager is 140. But even like the car wash guys and girls are 18 because they're outside, so they get a premium. If you're willing to work overnight, like doing stocking, because they stay open 24/7. So if you're doing food or cooking, um, but yeah, a lot of these like DoorDash and Uber Eats, it's wear and tear on you and your car, and you may not get the returns. People aren't tipping the way they used to, so it hurts. I got 30 jobs, man. And I started something. Yeah. Let's see what silver's at right now. That's a good question. Silver price. That did not help me at all. Let's see. What is silver today? Money metals. That doesn't help me. Doggone it. You try and look up something legit like, oh, there it is, $20.60. I'll flip up that other screen for you guys just so y'all can take a peek. And so it's 20. That is not bad, actually. And by the way, investing in silver, like in shares, is good, but I'm partial, not offended by having the actual coins. Um, yeah. So, like the food group out here, they were just worried kids weren't eating on the weekends. Like the parents are both working, and there's little to no food. So when the school counselors reach out to food bank, and the food bank's like, they're not in our little box, we can't help them. Food bank will refer them to the other group. The other group will try to fill it in. She said, we've been giving them like Pop Tarts and ramens. And she said, right now, it's not even a question of quality of food. She said, I just want to get calories in some of these kids. This is the US of A, people. And our food bank isn't worried about, oh, let's get quality. It's just get calories in these kids. And they called them backpack buddies down in Houston. And God, that broke my heart. My wife came out of there crying one day. We were helping the school with, she was helping the school with something else. And they called for the little backpack buddies. And she said the cutest little girl, she came up with her little pigtails and her little pink backpack, and they gave her a bag, and she was like, "Thank you." And my wife came home. The little girl didn't have food, But yeah, I mean, that broke my. When she told me, I got sad. With kids in line at Carita. Oh, see, and I wonder, Cold War, we're going to see more drug use. We're going to see more drug use because people are losing hope, right? And to me, all of us as preparedness thinking folks, we should be focused on how do we get around this? How do we persevere to get to the other side and catch the upswing? But a lot of folks aren't thinking of that. It's not a good move. It is. Yeah, see, and it's tough, and everyone's situation's different. Everyone's skill set's different. It's really tough. Hey, good morning, Navi. This is another fellow Texan, if I recall correctly, and I'm sure he's. If I recall what you do for a living, you're probably seeing a lot of this. A lot of folks struggling right now. Because I think he would, if I remember correctly, you would be seeing it firsthand. Sorry, my chat's jumping around and it's kind of messing with me right now. Uh, yes, absolutely. Standing by for Carmageddon. Uh, yeah, my dad was a Puerto Rican Red Foreman. He's a little bit behind in the chat. That is. By the way, Jeep Girl, I actually found a retro Atari, but it's the new one, so all the games are built into the console, and then it has the four controllers. We bought one when the kids were still at home when we were in Houston, and my wife's like, "Let's play Miss Pac-Man." Okay, and these are like PlayStation 4 kids with all the freaking buttons, and here you had a stick and a red button. And let's play Battle Galaga, and let's play, Miss Pac-Man. She kicked their ass, all the teenagers. And they're like, "How do you play this game? The little yellow lady, she doesn't go the right way." They were freaking out. "What's that ghost doing?" Yeah, so it is divide and conquer. Well, it's starve and conquer is what it is. Yes. God, I remember that. God. Or you walked around with all the quarters in your pocket and you were jingling down the street. Yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick. God bless. Oh, there it is. Okay, I did find it. Okay, I found the guy who makes maces. Let me I gotta remember I use a Mac as my personal computer. There it is. I don't think he makes flails. Hey, 4-6 camper, what's going on? Yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you have a general understanding of where your big expenses are, you can kind of fight around it. With as much as we travel and our work schedule, we can't always cook at home. And we one year we actually like pulled down and we tried to calculate and we're like, holy cow, we spend way too much on dining out. But you don't think about it. You're like, oh, it's 6 o'clock. I'm tired. I don't want to cook. Let's go. I don't know. Let's go to the burger joint or let's go get sushi. And you're like, it's only $30. It's only $20, but 30, 20, 30, 20, 30. And by the end of the week, you spent an extra 200. There's your damn car payment. Right. But you don't think of it because it's death by a thousand cuts. Right. So if you stop and go, wait a minute, look at what we're doing. So now I know, like Sunday night, I pull steak and chicken or whatever, and I pull Monday and Tuesday night dinner and have it thawing in the fridge. And then when Monday comes around, I'm usually tired because it was chaos. The wife rolls in and we're like, okay, I got, we can do tacos, we can do pasta with the beef, or we can do chicken sandwiches. We pick and off we go. I also am buying the big bags of chicken, like tenders looking things, and I'm splitting them using the food saver. You could probably do it with Tupperware too. And I'm freezing them in meal size packs. So, like, whatever, 10 nuggets is for two people, right? Those big nuggets, not the little itty bitty Tyson ones, but like the big chunks. And I freeze them, I date them, I write them just like I'm freezing beef, and I freeze them, but they're already cooked. I can throw those in the microwave, throw them in an air fryer, stick them in the oven, however you want to do it. And that's easy. I come in from work, I pop it open, defrost it, throw it in the air fryer, and I can go get the dogs out, feed the dogs, make the sides. You know what I mean? When I cook my sides, it's just two of us. I'll do 2 cups of rice in the Instant Pot. We might use half a cup for dinner. The other 2 cups of food or cup and a half of food, that's going to go in the fridge, but now I have a side already made for the week, right? In my mind, every time I eat in, I'm saving at least twice that versus going out. So, but yeah, it's tough, Loretta. You're spot on. Okay, see, I haven't that I need to do. Hold on, there's some they're putting. Okay, sorry, I lost the sliver. Okay. Oh, silver, 2056 silver. Yeah. So silver's about $20. So I hope wanted to. Yeah. And there's some companies are offering, like, to get CDL drivers to transport gas or hazardous materials, like good competent drivers. They're offering them 100,000 a year, and they can't get drivers. The ones they have are in high demand, and they're good because they actually have experience, so they're paying them more to keep who they have because they can't find new ones. So then the cost of the company goes up, which means ultimately it comes to our pocket at some point. Yeah, they go to extremes. They're dedicated or they want no part of it. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of so what they do here is the counselor refers the family to a local food bank, not the big food bank because they have limits, but one of the regional ones. The counselor will send them an email and get the families in touch with them, and then the food bank can talk to that family and say, okay, how many kids do you have? And this particular bank is focused on the kids. So their stuff, like I've seen their little packets. It has like ramens, Pop Tarts, fruit cups, stuff like that, stuff that's shelf stable. But that way they know, okay, you have a little boy and a little girl, so at least one pack per day. So there's the two of them for Saturday, the two for Sunday. The family drives off, but at least they know that now mom and dad, who may not eat themselves, at least can focus on managing the home and not worry my kids are starving because they know the kids have something. They got calories going in, and I guess that's all they can do right now. But yeah, by the way, all of these facilities need volunteers to help them pack and sort. Even if you don't have the money to donate, if you want to donate time and labor, I've tried my schedule's garbage lately, but I've tried to go on occasion and at least help them unload the pallets and put them like in a coherent way somewhere. But if you guys have time to do that, it would be also a great way to network with people who are in the same boat if you're struggling. And you may learn of other resources. Now's the time not to hide. Now's the time to collaborate with everyone else because everyone's in shit. We're all in the same caca. So let's help each other out when we can. Yeah, true. That is absolutely true. Okay. Yeah, okay. If you're doing it on a base, that's very different. Yeah. Chef Ron. Yeah. Hey Joe, good morning, man. And you know what? Cold War, honestly, if you're giving them calories, even if that person doesn't eat it, they trade it for booze. Someone in theory will eat it somewhere. Eventually, hopefully, it will go to the hands of one who needs it. I believe. I think you and I have had this conversation. The Lord does stuff beyond what we're seeing. We do a good thing and it goes away, and we have no idea where it went. But I'd like to believe ultimately someone will get it somewhere that needs it. But yeah, there's always, well, they steal it. That's the problem. As things get worse, you're going to have people kind of lose their biscuits. And instead of trying to collaborate, they're going to resort to other things. And someone say drugs. See, so Joe, Joe's like, I'm awake now. No, I didn't say vodka yet, man. Oh God. By the way, I went to meet some folks for it was a company like function. We were meeting clients and we were collaborating. It was actually a committee, and we decided to meet at this beer joint. And we had about 30 minutes of useful conversation. The other hour and a half very slowly degenerated into levels of stupid. Ultimately, we ended the meeting because I was like, okay, we're not getting anything done. We're going home. Oh, well, that's not bueno. Oh, by the way, I did find, hold on. I found what we were looking for. Share screen. Hang on a second here. There it is. Ta-da! Hate stick manufacturing. This is the guy who makes maces. So, Mad Chat, if you're still on there, that's the company. Well, honestly, they just beat up the Fed chairman in the House. So, what's up? They'll find a way. They'll find a way. All it does is make it easier to hide it. Hold on. So, we rolled out with FEMA on Harvey, and there were a lot of good people. I think FEMA does get a bad rap because people think they're the devil, but they're a system, right? They're set up to do certain things like, oh, there will be a hurricane. We will go set our stuff up. The hurricane goes through, then we will go in and make our camps and or food distribution and PODs and set everything up. If it's a sudden or the storm turns or it's worse than expected, FEMA gets all screwed up. They just don't have the ability to manage that kind of stuff. And the National Guard, if it gets that bad, it takes 2 weeks to properly mobilize a guard unit. So you're going to battle that as well. Yeah, at the beginning, it's just bad. One of their selling points. They're just going to find a way to hack it. Come on. They will. Yeah. I probably need to get around to doing that as well. Yeah, it's a pain. Oh yeah, Navi runs a service gas station. Okay, I didn't want to say it unless you went to say it, but yeah, that's what I thought. And I bet you're seeing a lot of folks are struggling now. Yeah, it's tough. Frogger, yes, Frogger. God, that was a fun game. Yeah, Donkey Kong. Remember when Double Dragon came out? I would just turn around and punch my brother's little guy because it was funny. And then we'd start arguing in the room. Or I'd run away and let all the little bad guys jump on his dude. Or he'd run away. He'd run me over with a motorcycle. We couldn't fight in person because dad would yell at us. So we'd beat each other up on the video game. What the problem, not only is that bad, but the cards decline and then they become combative with the store owner or the people who run the business. And it's like, no, your card is screwed. Go call the bank and fight with them. Hey, Nikki. Nikki snuck in here on me. Oh, there she is. Hello. Good morning. Commodore 64 with a keyboard and a controller. That was fun. Oh, hey, kill it and grill it. Good morning from Nebraska. Pong was pretty cool. Commodore 64s. Commodore 64s were actually really cutting edge for that day. And I bet they still can do certain things better than this fancy computer stuff we have now. Oh, platanitos. Well, see, so the Puerto Rico, you have the maduros, which is the matured plantain, and then there's supposed to be what's the word we used to use for the sweet? It's immature, basically. It's immature or overripe plantain. It's the overripe plantain or the sweet ones. And they have them in Puerto Rico too. So if your Puerto Rican friend said like, "Oh, well, sweet plantains," he's full of it because I damn well know my Uncle Augie used to make them all the time. My aunt would make slews of these things. She'd have like these are the maduros and these are the sweet. And then we'd take both because they one was like crunchy and salty and the other one was sweet. And it was also a way to put carbs and fiber in kids and it would just knock us out. We'd be passed out on the floor. There was a method to that. If you got to go potty, you eat a few of those. That'll send you to the bathroom real quick. Can't afford to eat out. So, true story, I'm teaching my so my daughter already figured out the cast iron and she's starting the food preservations now in earnest. My daughter-in-law just did her first cast iron skillet steak solo, like by herself, not with me or my son helping. And she sent me this picture. She's in a different time zone, so I saw it this morning and it was looked really good. She's like, it was so good. I made green beans. And she so proud of herself. And I'm like, yes. And then I see in the background the food savers there and all these little packets of food. I couldn't make out what they were, all labeled, all like stacked. And I'm like, she's setting up her new pantry. There you go. So I'll continue teaching the younger generation because a lot of them see what's going on. They're scared right now. Oh, links to go over January 6th documents, which the congressional hearing would be in house.gov. Uh, that's a good question. Anyone have an answer for this one? Where would random find documents for January 6th? Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, about the same here, 80 to 100. So Cold War, what they're doing here, and God, I have to email you the name of the group because I just blanked out completely. During the summer, so they have summer sessions or summer camps, so they can reach some kids there. What they've been doing is they reach out to local churches that are willing to use their parking lot. And what they'll do, they'll kind of get a head count from the local church. They'll say, okay, we got 10 families and 27 children. And they'll send a truck, a volunteer will send a truck with the names of the families on the little bags. But it takes a lot of work. And then they'll pull up and the pastor will usually meet them or one of the people. And they'll go, okay, here's the Jones family and here's the Ramirez family. And they'll just keep handing them out. And then if a new family shows up, they'll bring a little bit extra, but they'll add them to the list. And then they'll come back at the next designated time. But it's very difficult because the volunteers have to go to work too. So yeah, it's been hey, Atari was epic. Now I might well go and find one. Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, and it's tough. Hey, good morning, Tarsha. So lots of places say they're hiring, but not but what they aren't. It's cheaper to pay overtime than. Yeah. God, would there be any interest in me doing a? Oh wow, the just mentioned. I was just curious. Hey, I saw Hutch was in here, and then the chat just took off. Hey, Hutch. God, Pennsylvania was fun too. Really, if it's really bad, I tell them to get the hell out. Galago is cool, especially when you got the double spaceships. That's a good way to do it, man. That's a good way to do it. Wait, who did I miss here? Oh, that's the one where the little guy was on that not a pelican, good lord. The ostrich. And you had to knock the little guys down. Hey Tarsha, welcome, welcome. All right, guys. Sorry, I missed a few people. Centipede was good. Yeah, they will reach out to local. So FEMA is actually not the devil, but it's not set up. So when people say, "Oh, we might have a FEMA camp," FEMA couldn't run camps like that. They're not organized enough. They don't have that. Now, another agency might run them, and that would scare me more. I'd rather the damn FEMA people run them because I've dealt with them before, and there are a lot of preppers working on the ground level in FEMA because they all know what's happening. They're like, yeah, I keep coming out here and everybody's screwed up. I think I need to have a pantry at home. So, but yeah, it is a small agency. They're just, and Frogger's come up a few times with you guys. So, folks, look, this, whew, man, okay, this thing, I don't know what's up with my interwebs today, but it keeps jumping in the trash bin of the FBI. That wouldn't surprise me. Tactical, I heard they did that last week. It was a conventional weapon. I don't remember when they actually did it, but I read about it last week. By the way, when I was doing undergrad, we were doing hypersonic mock ups in the wind tunnels. Uh, and that was in the mid 90s. So, I'm pretty confident the US has a bunch of toys too. My concern is that someone's going to launch the wrong hypersonic, right? Someone's going to panic in a battlefield and, like, you know, Anatoly's going to go, Dimitri, grab the red one and stick that on the launcher and launch that thing. And, then all of a sudden the city is on fire. Um, that concerns me. You start a live. We should. That should be. I should do a live stream when I'm playing Battlefield 4 with my sons who are overseas, and then just put the smack talk on speaker. Because mind you, this is a bunch of young military guys and a couple of old graybeards, and we're all in there together. Um, I've actually dropped a building on one of my sons. He kept shooting my little guy, and I got in a little tank, and I ran into the building he was in. The whole thing came down, and I heard him on the headset go, "Ah!" And it's like, I got you, Seafool. Engineering mentality. Hey, good morning, Moonsprout. So, look, folks, we were talking earlier. Those of you who are just rolling in, so the banks are having issues. We all know that. A lot of companies, and I mentioned this earlier in the chat, and then we went off on vintage video games and kind of went off track there. A lot of the companies 18 months ago were looking at getting cash heavy, low leverage, and splitting stocks. And what that was doing, splitting stocks means more investors can invest with less money per investor. It spreads out the risk and it's not as risky to the investor if I want to buy widget stock, right? Two, they were going to cash heavy. So they were not hiring as many people, not buying as much equipment. So they had whatever their revenue was, their income, they took their costs and pushed them down so they had a margin. The third thing they did was pay off any remaining debt and not take any new loans because they knew the interest rates were going up. These are all lessons we can take. We can start, if you can, and everyone's situation is different. Try to reduce your cost. If you can't make more money, spend less as much as you can. And I know everyone's different situations, so it may not be possible. Um, Also, if you have to take out a mortgage or anything like that, make sure you don't have an adjustable rate, because that could put you at risk. If the interest rates go up and down, you could get clobbered. Um, Again, everyone's situation is different. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just going by my own experience. We've avoided adjustable rates like the plague, and we've done okay. I've had relatives do it. They didn't factor in interest rate changes, and they could lose their house now, and there's nothing anyone can do. It's beyond the point of calling and saying, "Hey, can I borrow $500?" It's like you're going to lose your house and nobody can help you. So, um, try to do try to learn, watch what the companies are doing. Hey, KP Heathen, good morning. Try to watch what these companies are doing. Here it is. Thank you, Loretta. So hold on, I lost the chat again. That's cool. That's awesome. Calling it a balloon rate. That's the same thing. Absolutely, Rapture. And also, if you can avoid it at all costs, and I know sometimes you just have to take the medicine, avoid taking a home equity loan, because in most states, a lot of states, you have a homestead, right? So you have this home loan. Other than not paying taxes or not paying the mortgage, they can't touch your home. They can sue you for whatever debt. They can report you to the credit agencies. They can't touch your house. If you take a home equity loan, guess what the collateral is? And you're agreeing to it. It's the house. So if you default on that loan for whatever reason, they can come after your home, and then you have a problem. And I mean, I'm talking about that, and I'm just trying to give you these little bits, because I think a lot of people right now are getting trapped. They're getting cornered by these little things like adjustable rate mortgage or balloon rates, like Rapture was pointing out. They're getting caught with not understanding how the mortgage and escrows work, because nobody taught them. Nobody taught us. We learned the hard way, right? And they're getting caught and they get put in a corner. And then what do? You're screwed, right? You just get beat up. And if you can maneuver yourself, remember, there's always an upturn. No matter, remember when Rome fell, it didn't fall in a day. A lot of people think, oh, Rome, the barbarians attacked. No, the Roman collapse after the last couple of emperors, it took about 50 to 100 years before it finally just fell apart. And then you started the Dark Ages before the Renaissance. So you have, correct me if I have those backwards. So the fourth turnings, a lot of people think is like, boom, fourth turning. It's not. If you look historically, every time there's an event like this, it is a decade to 2 decades long or more that things just fall apart and then they rebuild on the other side. So the trick is position yourself for the upside on the other side. And I mean, if the zombies show up, then, you're prepared anyway. But, just so, hey, Loretta Hooch, how are you? Yes, that is excellent. Texas has its own vet loan for people. See, and this is the kind of information that's useful. So, guys, there are steps you can take, ladies and gentlemen. There are things you can do to position yourself in these times. You can invest in silver. Some guys who are stock knowledgeable more so than me, they're moving money to bonds and treasuries. They're kind of shuffling things around. They're going to silvers. They're going to precious metals. One guy finagled taking money out of his 401 to put it into a farm investment, like physical farm, and he only got a 5% tax penalty. I have no idea how he did that, but basically what I'm saying is if they can do their homework or property tax. Ouch. I don't know if Texas, no, Texas isn't that high. It may be, but we don't have income tax, so you get the trade-off there. Lackland's a nice place right outside of San Antonio. I'll see the Air Force trainees will be out there at the restaurants when their families come to visit, and they have visit days. And they'll be all in their little uniforms, the airmen first class and all those enlisted ranks, the young kids, and their parents are all excited. And every now and then you get like the dad was military too, and they'll be like in a bar. You can always tell when you have father son military because they're all the loud ones in the corner. Um, but yeah, folks, coffee kicking in, coherent thought about. so, but folks, look, there's steps you can take, things you can do. Watch what the companies are doing. I'm going to try and do a better job of posting this stuff on my shorts, on my short videos, posting it on my shorts. That sounds terrible. Um, and my printer's just doing things. The Russians hacked my printer. But in any case, guys, the stuff you can do that will at least let you take the hit. Again, I look at it like a boxer, right? When you get in the ring, you're going to get hit, right? You're going to get whacked. But if you can position yourself to not get a complete terrible beating, that's a good thing. So, hey, Prepper Book Club, I'm about to wrap it up, my friend. But look, folks, try to learn from what other folks are doing. Try to watch what the companies are doing. Remember, they have entire teams of people dedicated to studying these kind of environments so the company doesn't collapse. The two companies I've worked for the longest in my career were both companies that at this point are 110 years old. They've gone through the world wars, the depression, uh, all this other stuff. These guys have been around. So I'm watching what they do because the companies that are that old have this historical perspective within the company. And they have that mentality of surviving. And I'm watching what these folks are doing. And I'm like, that's a really good idea. I should do something like that. Um, so, folks, this is not a time to be disheartened. This is a time to start doing homework. Let's start thinking. And remember your food preps, your water preps, your meal preps, your dinners at home. You may not get more money, but you're reducing your cost. And when you reduce that cost, you give yourself that buffer to do better every day. So, folks, do the best you can with what you got. But graduated one. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, just walk the charity in the frozen tundra. Yeah, Shad's got a bit of cold weather there. So, folks, I'm going to wrap it up here. But all of y'all, God bless and Godspeed. And guys, ladies and gentlemen, now's the time to do the homework. Now's the time to learn from what the other folks are doing and try to collaborate, share that knowledge. Because to be honest, even if everyone in the chat and myself and all the little preppers in the YouTube community all learn the same piece of information, we'd be what, 0.5% of the people out there. The rest of them are largely clueless, right? You might have 4 or 5% who are seeing what we're seeing and they're trying to take steps. So you guys be good, be safe. Loretta, thank you, Mad Shad, and whatever other mods are still in there. I can't see who my mods are there's no wrenches in StreamYard. But guys, be safe out there, be careful. And now's the time, do the homework. Don't freak out and share knowledge because this is a great time to do it. I will see you all next time. God bless.